Okay. Now, with what you've just said now, let's say I'm dating you, Femi Jabal, and I'm collecting data. And at the end of the collection, I'm trying to create a code so that we can work, and it's not working. Then I move. Am I supposed to move on to somebody else or keep working on that data I have collected? Because if I move to somebody else, like I also know that your relationship with people can actually affect you mentally, can affect your personality. So if I date you and the data collected does not match. And I move to the next person, collect more data, this data I am collecting, I'm actually absorbing some of it. Then if it doesn't keep matching, do I keep going, or I just keep trying to work on the data I have collected to make it work?
The thing is, you have formed a shield. You know, identity is a shield. When you know who you are, it is a shield. Like there are some things I will not do. And I've been in circles of people who do those things, but I will not do it. Why? Because I have a shield. There is a shield. I've discovered myself, and I've been able to shield myself from those things. So now there is something called the power of choice.
Okay.
That's one thing that a lot of us, especially in Africa, we have let go of. We've thrown it in the wind. We think we don't have a choice. And that's why people fall. One of the philosophies I'm trying to get rid of is this idea of falling in love. There is no, if you fall into anything, you get injured. And when you get injured, you can't stand up. So you don't fall in love. You choose who to love. After you have, you know, collected their data, and then you have taken that data, compared it to what you stand for, where you see yourself, your values, your principles. It doesn't match. Next. Now, one of the things that you don't do, because, you know, emotional intelligence is also very important. People, and one of the ways people get emotionally attached to people is, you know, intercourse. They get too involved with the person, and then before you know it, I can't live again. But if you have these things in place, these structures, identity structure is built in you, emotional intelligence, your power of choice, because you can choose and unchoose a person. Nobody said you must be with them forever and ever.
So what you're saying is, right now, what people do is they fall in love, then start collecting data, and then realize that this is not working.
Thank you.
So you're supposed to collect data first.
Exactly. You're meant to collect data first, because at the end of the day, this is the thing. Because we have now accepted as a society that we have gotten to that point where we must date. It wasn't like that. You know, your family was involved, like I said, but now that we have gotten to that point, so you must arm yourself with information. And one of the ways to do that is to understand that you don't date to marry. You date to collect data. Yeah, but because people think they have to date to marry, so they start giving the other person the privilege of a spouse. Now you have gotten too involved. You're already having all these things, sleeping in their house, cooking for them. The guy is also playing the role of a husband. So you're not, no data to collect. So, but the first thing is you have to spend the first 1 month to 2 months to collect data. You know. So
I'm a bit confused. And I'm very sure our viewers are wondering. If I'm wondering on your behalf too. So if you are going to collect data and you don't live with them, or you don't I'm not saying you should live with them, but there should be some kind of visiting. You need to know how this person operates as a person in his home and all of that. So how do you collect this data if you don't do all of this thing? Like you said, some people start playing the role of wives, some people start playing the role of husbands. That should be part of the data you should be collecting. How would this person treat me when we go into this marriage that we are hoping that this our data collection will actually form?
Now, the thing is, I don't have to go to that length to know if you're going to treat me like a good wife. Just one date. This is why some of the techniques I'm going to teach at the master class, I'm going to open people's eyes to. There's also the spirituality aspect where they say a spiritual man evaluates everything. Yeah. So how to evaluate a person when you meet them. I took a girl out on a date once, and then, you know, the moment I planned the date, she became my project, and I started collecting data from that day. We had not had the date. I planned the date, and then I started collecting my data from the charts to everything. And then on the day of the date, I started collecting data. And from the date, you know, another thing, people don't ask questions. You know, I was the one that asked all the questions. So at that date, I've taken girls out before that. After the date, I never call them again. You don't call me again. I already know you. One date, And it's very important. You can know all this because, see, what people do is you spend 6 months, investing your resources, your money, your time, your energy in someone. But in one day, 1 to 2 dates, if you pay attention and you have a sharpened discernment, you wouldn't have to go through all that. And these are the things I'm going to introduce, to single people because, this particular girl I told you, I simply ask one question. I ask several other questions. She was just on her phone taking pictures, telling her friend of the fine place. I was not interested in the beautiful place. I'm here to know you. So people should also, you must understand that you want to know that person, and different situations and environments reveal a dimension of a person that you need to know. The way they behave in a cinema is different from the way they behave in a wedding. It's different from the way they behave when they're with your friends. So you are meant to monitor all those things. You can't put all these things on your template of values and principles and choose a wrong person. It's impossible.